What's the most unexpected out of the blue thing your partner has ever done during sex? Was about 2mm away from entering this one girl. And she belt out, "Oh, take me to the moon." Internally, I was laughing my ass off while my dick seemed like it hit a patch of Instasoft. As she was a virgin, I felt terrible blaming her for my sudden lack of boner. I simply told her it was performance anxiety and fell on my own sword flaccid noodle. He said, in Nigel Thornberry's voice, "Oh, Alushka, I'm arriving." It was so awkward but I couldn't stop laughing. My girlfriend is a talker. However, at one point, mid-gasping orgasm, I always assumed I'd have a wide variety of SZUL partners, but if this is what you do then I don't see it as a high priority. It was like having sex with an auctioneer. I once dated a guy who giggled when he finished. That was definitely unexpected the first time we had sex. She fell asleep. We were absolutely hammered and had both been up for about 22 hours at that point. So it's understandable. But to have her just go unresponsive while I'm inside her didn't exactly help my ego. This is like 20% of the drunk at sex I have with my wife. I outweigh her by like 80 pounds. But she matches me drink for drink. Once she passes out I just grab a titty and beat off. She slapped my ass and said, "Whose PSSY is this?" It was our first time and I wasn't sure if it was hers or mine. So I ignored her. She did it again, but this time she pinched my nipples and screamed, "Answer me." Having a 50/50 chance I said it was my PSSY. Afterwards she says, "That's right. It's your PSSY. Don't forget it." 7 years later. It's still my PSSY. Lol. Edit. Thanks, kind giver of a golden PSSY award. I wasn't even there and I felt intimidated. Had a girlfriend once who pulled away from my dick after giving me head. Looked directly into my eyes. Swallowed. And said, "Go team." We were having a very heavy makeout session before bed. Not unusual and usually led into much more playful naughty SI things. Provided we didn't draw out the making out. We'd been going at it for a few minutes and things were starting to get just a little bit more heated. And shifting around. Etc. Then he just stops. Nothing. Figure maybe he had to catch his breath or I'd shifted and cut off his circulation or something. I wait a minute. Try and kiss him again. No response. I say his name and poke him. No response. Then I realize his breathing pattern has shifted. He's fallen asleep in the middle of making out. At that point I say screw it and go to sleep as well. The next morning. He didn't remember a thing. Was once having sex with my so doggy style and in front of us was a mirror. I waved at her through the mirror and she laughed so hard that she ate all over my dick and the bed. Edit. Holy crap. Looks like I'm getting a second golden shower. Thanks guys. She just broke down crying. And it wasn't just a few tears. But a full-blown crying. I held her tight telling her if everything was alright, but she still cried for the next 10 minutes. This was during fairly vanilla sex and we've done a lot rougher BDSM stuff before, so it was confusing. I asked her if she forgot her safe word. No. Did I hurt you? No. What made you cry? I don't know. It's a mystery to this day and she can't figure it out either. Old FWB liked to dirty talk, so do I. But in one of our sessions, he kept referring to his penis as his pepperoni. You want a taste of this pepperoni? Full stop. No. No. I don't. Dried me up like the Sahara Desert. Was having sex with a French guy. On his heaviest, thickest French accent. He said, "I will now put my penis in your vagina." I laughed and it both got us off the mood. My ex had apparently read in Cosmo that guys like to have their assholes finger blasted. So, one night, she's giving me a blowjob and decided to give me the all sneaky finger. I lurched forward and accidentally shoved my dick down her throat. She puked. Then I puked. We never spoke of it again. I had a guy pour a bottle of water over me during sex because it's getting too hot. I wasn't impressed because it was my bed that got soaked. But the sex was hot, so I continued and later slept in the puddle. My boyfriend was eating me out when out of nowhere he blew a ton of air into my vagina and it scared me. I jumped and pushed all the air out, misting the poor guy's face. I laughed so hard at him. Though I'm not proud to say that I know what a balloon feels like now. The first time I ended up in bed with an old buddy. He asked me to don a pair of boxing gloves and punch him across the face and chest. This in itself wasn't really unexpected, as we'd already talked about how that kind of thing turned him on. The unexpected part was how much I got off on it. I discovered a new kink that night. This was me. Not him. But my boyfriend used to tell me that I wasn't loud enough, he couldn't tell when I came. So he didn't know when to stop. So the next time I came I yelled, announcement. I have orgasmed. Please step aside and allow the doors to close. I was trying to be all SI and hold her from behind. Apparently, I held too hard around her neck and choked her a bit. She asked me if I was doing it on purpose. I started apologizing. Saying I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Are you okay? She said it really turned her on. And that's the story of how I discovered my ex's choking fetish by complete accident. Midway through without a condom she said, "Wow. This feels amazing." And I shouted because IT's bloody raw. Like Gordon Ramsay. Needless to say we were both laughing too hard to continue. Back in 2001 my girlfriend had apparently seen the cripple fight episode of South Park and started saying filthy things during sex in Jimmy Varma's voice. That stopped me cold, but she would not stop doing the voice. Pretty funny. Edit. She's no longer my girlfriend. We broke up 14 years ago. You're a continuing source of inspiration. So this wasn't me, obviously, but I heard it going down. My roommate and his GF were the type who would always make noise while they were going at it, and I was, obviously, never the type to complain. Just put on my headphones, turn on Spotify and play some games for a while because awkward conversation would probably kill me both literally and figuratively. One time, however, I took my headphones off to go and get something to eat. They're still going at it. Then he makes a single, really loud moo. Dot. Like a cow. Everything stops. I can hear her ask what the comma, like any sensible person would, and he immediately stops laughing. Long story short, she left and they didn't speak for about a week. At that point you must start making farmyard animal noises at random points of his day. Accidental ass penetration when he got overexcited and pulled out too far while doggy styling. My scream. Are you one of my exes? Either way, I'm so sorry. I was riding on top of my partner and before he was gonna come he wanted to pull out, so when he finally came I rolled off and he accidentally busted his nut on his forehead. I immediately bursted out into laughter and he shouted out and I lost it. It's not what the girl I was with did. But I had ended up at the girl's house, both very drunk, and started hooking up. For some reason, that soon became very clear, there was a mattress on the floor of her bedroom. So we ended up on it. About 10 minutes later, drunk me is balls deep doing doggy and just looking around the room when I realized there were two very quiet, yet very awake and attentive people in the bed, watching us. Somehow I wasn't able to finish. Made my excuses and left. Edit. Sorry guys. I'm British, so fell asleep and just woke up. I think she was illegally subletting a mattress in the room. The whole house and area were sketchy, so wouldn't be surprised. This must be what raccoons feel like when they realize I'm watching them rummage through my garbage can. My first time with her, I had known her for all of 2 days. She tried to finger my butthole, bit my dick rather hard, and said to me, as we were having sex, "Pretend like you love me," and I just want to pretend like someone cares about me. Absolutely none of those things were turn-ons. XGF, that was a rather talented violinist. Riding me gently and reaches over, grabs her violin and starts to play as she comes. Impressive. And strangely erotic. Girlfriend and I experimenting in bed. While blowing me, I came in her mouth and without any warning spit it all the way up into my currently ongoing O face. Never again. My husband spread my ass cheeks and got face real close to my butthole and just screamed. Like screamed as loud as he could. It was so violating for a second and then I died laughing. Edit. Thanks for the gold. My ex and I was watching a film at the cinemas when she started caressing my leg, unzipped my pants and started giving me a tug. All the while she was watching the movie. She was there giving me a hand job while nonchalantly asking me little bits about the movie like nothing else was happening. When I was about to come, she blew me and took it all in. I've never been so turned on in my life. I started becoming more adventurous with risque registered sign SX after that. Hallways, parks, hotel balconies, at the pool, in the car, etc. You name it. Me and my friend with benefits were having SX when her brother walks in, grabs her Xbox controller and Minecraft, then left without even looking at us in the bed. She came really hard as I did too. Dude. You literally aired the out of her. He spanked me. He missed the fatty part of the cheek, so it was more like a punch in the hip bone. He's practiced. He was on top of me and we were experimenting with blindfolding. He ties a pillowcase over his eyes and is looking around. I can only see shapes. He says, and suddenly he rips the loudest fart I've ever heard. While he was sitting on my stomach. This was in the beginning of our relationship, so we hadn't really gotten into the farting around each other phase. I laughed so hard that we couldn't continue. The mood was gone. Edit. It was foreplay. Before SX. The mood was gone. But a tradition was born. On behalf of my so. He made a noise when lifting me and my immediate response was to put on my best gruff voice and ross out with Mike Wazowski, "You haven't filed your paperwork." Apostrophe. How he continued is beyond me. One of my first girlfriends screamed harder daddy in the middle of SX once. We were both women. Had a girl pull off real quick and start slapping my dick. I must have been giving her some kind of a look. Because she asked if I liked it. I said no and she seemed a little offended. She got back on, but the moment had passed for me. This is something I did. I was near blackout drunk. She was on top. I started to feel drowsy and closed my eyes for a second. Then I think she thought I was getting really into it and that I was about to come, so she started riding harder. This is the point where the motion sickness kicked in. I threw up all over her and myself. Did not come either FS. When I got together with my now ex girlfriend, we went back to hers quite drunk. In an attempt to show off my strength and sword prowess, I hoisted her up onto my face so I could eat her out and managed to smash her mouth off the headboard. Still finished though. Thank you, drink. Started making jokes about old Greg. While having SX, she looks up at me and says in the voice of old Greg, "Do you love me, Howard?" I died of laughter. My ex was riding me and I announced, "I'm getting close." We are all dogging it and I was always used to pulling out. She slapped me in the face real hard, choked me and rode me hard and told me to come inside her. This was when I found out I enjoyed BDSM and cream peas. Like, whoa. He kept pushing my head further down his dick until I gagged. He really liked being deep-throated, I guess. As a blowjob newbie, I did not appreciate this at all. Newbie or not, that is bad blowjob etiquette on his part. Like, I'll deep throat. This actually happened to me. I had the most intense orgasm of my life and then started uncontrollably crying. It was so hard to fight back. I wasn't sad or upset. It was just that intense. We have been in a LDR for 2 years and we only get to see each other every 2 months or so. So going 2 months without sex and then having a crazy orgasm must have freaked out my brain. It freaked my boyfriend out a little bit, but after 10 minutes everything was good. One time my ex-GF was riding me, and she started talking in Korean. When I looked up I realized she was discussing getting tickets for her home for Christmas. They didn't call her. She called them. In the middle of riding me. I'm surprised they couldn't tell what she was doing. I yelled PIVAHT when I turned her over for doggy style. She then proceeded to laugh so hard she fell off the bed. No more sex. Edit. Holy, someone popped my Reddit gold cherry. Thanks mate. XGF. She was riding me. And when I was about to come, she knew it. She started choking me. Riding me faster. And then slapped me in the face. After it was done, she asked me if I liked it. I did not. I threw a party at my place first semester of college. Girl and I got drunk and dead all night. She had to get up the next morning to do sorority stuff. 6 AM sits on my face and yells eat my PSSY. We've been dating for a year and a half. Well, it was something that I did. Was having sex with my girlfriend and I had an extreme head cold. I kept saying the wrong thing all day and sneezing and all that gross. But during sex she kept talking about how good my dick feels. That dirty talk kind of stuff. I got close to her ear and just said in the most absolute serious tone, I love your dick. She just stopped and looked at me and started bursting out laughing, almost crying from how funny and serious I sounded. I sat there in disappointment of myself. She just kept saying dick, so the word dick came out of my mouth instead of vajayjay. Not proud of myself. TL. Doctor told my girlfriend I love her dick. Edit. My first majorly upvoted comment, thanks Reddit. And P.S. I did laugh along with her. I was just dying inside as well. But it's all good now. I love your vajayjay doesn't sound all that S0 either. At the beginning of our relationship, my boyfriend and I were having sex one afternoon. We had been going for a while and the mood was pretty strong and we were both feeling relatively invincible. So he asked if he could try something. What he wanted to do was a pillar driver. I had sort of forgotten what this was. So him pushing up my torso and attempted to shove his dick down into me was absolutely hilarious and I started cracking up instantly. Not realizing he was 100% serious about this. He was reasonably upset and I felt sort of bad. I jokingly said something along the lines of, "This is Captain Johnson for the US Thundercock. Permission to dock." To my ex. She responded with permission granted. Without missing a beat. I wish it worked out. Edit. My top comment is now about how my ex was totally down for an improved space dicking comment. Nice. My wife usually waits until we're near the end and then starts asking, "Are you feeling it now?" MR. Crabs. I swear I'm not making this up. Met a girl off Craigslist. She was nervous about the whole thing and went as far as to give me a fake name. When I showed up to her place I was worried I might be getting conned and would get robbed. But she was real. After about 2 minutes of talking we were making out and shortly after we started eyeing. In the middle of me eyeing her. She said between moans, "I can't believe I'm eyeing a stranger." Hottest thing a girl has said to me and it completely caught me off guard. He was on top and just being really gentle with me the way he usually is. He's not one for rough sex. He worries a lot about hurting me and just likes it nice and vanilla. All of the sudden he puts his hands on my neck and starts going at it really hard. Best feeling ever. Asked him about it afterwards. He knew I had a thing for rough sex and he wanted to do something nice for me that I would enjoy. Even if it made him feel uncomfortable. I never pressure him into it. Never ask for it. But always let him know it feels good when he does it. Was really unexpected because, as I mentioned, he's not one for rough sex at all. Drunk. In the shower after having sex. I turn my back to her in order to rinse off my face. And while my back is turned to her she spreads my ass cheeks and starts licking my asshole. Felt amazing. She then slipped a finger in. Not really into it because it just feels like I have to poop. Nothing major. But I wanted to make a sex tape for us to watch. At the end, he apparently gave a thumbs up and okay sign. Weirdo. The tape has been destroyed. We don't do sex tapes well. A thumbs up and a high five would be the perfect end to a homemade tape. One night stand in college. Middle of sex, this girl goes, "I can't believe I'm cheating on my boyfriend for this." That put a damper on things. I was studying for an exam and my ex said, "I'm going to blow you while you're studying and let's see how far you get." I read the same line about 400 times and couldn't even remember what the line was when she was done. During foreplay, she had my member in her hand. She then manipulated the opening of the urethra so it appeared it was talking. And in a squeaky baby voice said, "I hate the Jews." She had a weird sense of humor. Damn, I miss that girl. GF was giving me a BJ while I was sitting on the couch and I'm getting to the point of no return and normal she finishes me anywhere other than in her mouth. She was feeling generous that day and she just kept at it and I nutted with force of 1000 suns into her mouth. She doesn't let me do that anymore. God, this whole thread is golden lol. Alright. This is what I did to my wife. So she did not expect it. Hope that's okay. Because it's been years. And she is still a little led. So. We are in the middle of things. Nothing crazy. Missionary position. But having a good time. She's about to orgasm. And it's obvious. So. I get an idea. Because I'm a special kind of asshole. I keep going. And when I can tell she is just on the verge, I lean in like I'm going to kiss her neck. And whisper directly in her ear. Squirrel. She is immediately what the? And pushes me off of her. Apparently. The surprise and awkward nature of the situation completely killed her progress. As well as her mood. No orgasm. Just confused anger. I fully admit. I laughed my ass off. And I am a horrible person for it. I have never done it since. She is still a little peeved. Wife was giving me a fantastic BJ once. Just really going for it. When I finished, she didn't stop. And it was too intense. I didn't know what to do and out of nowhere I screamed, "Get to the chopper." In Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice. We still laugh about it. Squirted for the first time in her life. She was on top and it caused her to pop up, which soaked me neck down. Followed by a split 2 seconds of her standing over me with her jaw on the floor. Release the sheep. Shoved 2 fingers hard into MTY taint while giving a toothy blowjob. Took everything I had not to knee her in the side of the face. It was a drunken one night thing. Come home early. Scenario 1. I was with this girl for a while and we had amazing sex. It was always fun and careless and amazing. One day when she was on top, she randomly stuck her finger in my belly button while yelling "belly button" in what I can only describe as a Cookie Monster voice. We both immediately started dying laughing and it took me a full minute to spit out the words "what the actual was that?" Scenario 2. I was hooking up with a different girl and she was on top again. I'm a lazy lover apparently. I was close to finishing and let her know and she started to reach behind her. I thought she was going to tickle the Juvas, which I thought was hot and that brought me even closer, but her hand kept going. I was already at that point of no return when her finger reached my asshole. At which point I came and flinched and yelled and laughed and clenched all at once. It was a feargasm with a hint of shock. She started saying "pay me." I kind of ignored it. Then started calling me daddy. Which is cool. Then "pay me daddy." No whoop. My ex liked to be choked. So one night while we're having sex and I'm choking her, she asks me to make her pass out. I shrug. Keep pounding. And oblige. Next thing I know, her eyes roll to the back of her head and her body goes completely limp. I'm freaking out a little at this point and shake her a bit and she falls off the bed onto the ground face first. Took a while to get her back to consciousness. Scared the out of me. She was ready to go again a little bit after waking up, but by that point my dick was as limp as she was. Ex-fiance registered sign and I were having fun afternoon delight after a run of Frasier. So, during sex he screamed goodnight. Seattle. It was hilarious. My wife was giving me oral attention and as she finished me off she raised up as she swallowed and said, "That'll do, pig. That'll do." I didn't know whether to laugh or be ashamed. My girlfriend was blowing me and decided to stick a finger in my butt. That was a first for me. I liked it. Try it, guys. Tain't bad at all. The one and only time I've ever had a finger stuck up my ass was when I got impacted stool. Basically my was extremely hard and wouldn't come out, so it built up over a couple of days until it was simply too huge to come out. I thought I was going to die on that toilet. So I wrapped my finger in toilet paper and had to reach in there and manually break it apart.